Mira, and I'm here at McDonald's with the general manager. Her name is Susie, and she's been working at McDonald's for 7 years.
Hi, my name's Susie. I'm the general manager at the Oak Brook location, right across the street from the McDonald's Plaza. As Belmira said, I have been with McDonald's for 7 years. Very familiar with the inventory processes here at McDonald's and the routines that we have in place.
How often do you guys do inventory?
So McDonald's, we complete inventory weekly. Usually every Monday we do a full inventory count, so meaning all of the food and condiments that we have in the restaurant. And then also on month end, so either the 30th or 31st of that month, we complete inventory of food, condiments, and paper products that we have in the restaurant.
What is your routine usually looking like for a month?
So weekly, I have a assistant manager that would complete that food and condiment count, and then monthly, as a general manager, I come in the restaurant and complete the full inventory of everything in the restaurant. But some routines that we have for our inventory process would be entering the bills and purchases into our computer system so we can easily track what we have bought from our suppliers, and then what has been purchased from our customers, and what we have actually used and gone through in our restaurant. So we have a what we call a QCR, and that's how we keep track of different line items. So our first line item is called base food. Base food is what we have purchased from our suppliers. The next one is going to be raw and completed waste. So that is what we have wasted, as in maybe we made a sandwich for a customer and it was wrong. So if they brought it back to us, we would put it into what we call a waste bucket. And then at the end of the shift, we would count it. So sorry, that's the second one. Now our third one would be what we call condiments. Condiments would be a sauce that is on a sandwich, or a barbecue sauce that we hand out with a chicken nugget. But our biggest condiment cost is actually the oil that we fry our chicken and fries in. So it's very expensive, and it is actually accounts for about 2% of our total cost.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes. So oil is definitely one that we try and manage very well. So I'll get farther into that detail in a little bit on how we manage our oil. Going back to our QCR, the last one that we are going to have is our stat loss, which is kind of our unaccounted for item. So every restaurant obviously would love to have a 0% stat loss, but that's unrealistic when you're looking at a restaurant, because obviously you're going to be busy. You're going to hand out maybe a burger that wasn't rung up into the register just to make it right for the customer. So something like that where it's not rung up but we can't gave it out would be accounted for in the stat loss line item. So that is kind of our weekly routine. We have several different reports that shows us what's missing, where it's going, if it's wasted, if it's not wasted. But the other routine that we also have is obviously people can use coupons at our location. So each crew person is assigned a register, and when they use a coupon, they need to put it underneath their drawer. When their register is cashed out at the end of their shift, we match up the number of promos or coupons that were used, so we can keep track of items. So obviously, when you're dealing with crew people, sometimes there's theft that goes on. We have very strict procedures to avoid that, and so we can obviously, as a management team, keep track of all the food that's going in and out of the restaurant. So if they're promoting off items that a customer wouldn't have a coupon for, maybe they're giving free food to their friends or family, we could easily track that, and we have very strict policies against that. So obviously documentation would lead to eventual termination or suspension.
Do you guys use a first in, first out, or a last in, first out method?
We do. So we used FIFO, first in, first out. A few different things that we do to keep track of that. So every day our maintenance and prep person goes into the cooler and freezer, make sure that everything is rotated. Maybe the previous night team, used a box of apples that was behind or whatnot. So they would make sure that was always corrected the next morning, Also, our truck delivery crew are very well trained to always make sure that they're putting the new product behind the old product. So we are always using the oldest product before the new product.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
What
Sorry, just real quick. Another policy that we're real strict on is crew meals. So one benefit that we offer our crew is a free meal every time they work. So we want to make sure that that benefit isn't taken advantage of, but we're also making sure that our inventory is correct. So we always make sure that everything that they take is rung into the register and accounted for.
Wow. So you said that oil is like your biggest condiment, your biggest expense. What are some things that you guys do to keep that?
To keep oil, yeah. So we have what we call 5 enemies of oil, which is water, air, carbon, and salt. So obviously we want to avoid any of those items going into our oil, because the minute that any of those items go into oil, it shortens the lifespan of it. We also have automatic filtering fryers. So the fryers will actually filter themselves every hour on the hour, or if you're a high usage restaurant, they'll filter that oil as soon as you reach a certain amount of fries fried. So that being said, it allows us to increase the lifespan of that specific oil. We usually change our vats out anywhere from 5 to 7 days, depending on the usage of that vat. For instance, our first vat next to the fry station is probably used a lot more than the third or fourth one.
Right.
So that one would be changed out more often. So yeah, there's definitely some things that we have in place to make sure that our inventory here is well maintained, well adjusted, and I think that McDonald's has definitely some great policies in place. And you know what, I actually had an example here that I forgot to use. We have a condiment policy as well. So an example is our crew people are trained during their orientation process that for every 10-piece nugget that we hand out, a customer automatically receives 2 sauces.
Just to keep the condiments low.
Exactly, yeah. That's another example of what we do to make sure that condiments are kept low. So it's during their orientation, they're obviously, so a 4 or 6 piece comes with 1 sauce, a 10 piece comes with 2, 20 nuggets comes with 3, so on and so forth. So that allows just consistency across the board, and that's kind of one of our biggest, strengths with our inventory system is training and consistency.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. The other method that we also use is just-in-time inventory. So what we're going to do is only purchase what we need for that week. So most restaurants receive 2 truck deliveries per week, and our supplier actually uses a system that it takes a lot of things into factor. It takes in the weather, any promotions that we may be doing in the restaurant, your sales data, so if you're up in sales, down in sales, so on and so forth. And it's going to make sure that your truck is delivered just exactly what you need. So we're not keeping too much in the restaurant, and we're not keeping too little. So that's another big, obviously important factor of keeping inventory, very strict. If you have too much, then your chances of theft obviously goes up significantly. If you have too little, obviously you can't serve the customer, you can't sell the product, you're not going to make money. So that's also another one that we use here at McDonald's.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely.